Welcome back to part 2 of the final mock draft of 2025 before the National Draft commences in less than a week. So I released part 1 a few days ago and hope you guys enjoyed that. I'm recording this before I've seen the comments, so I don't know what the feedback was, but hopefully you guys enjoyed that. Hopefully most of you guys agreed with it, but we're getting straight into part 2 now. There wasn't any live trades in the first round, but there will be one in this one. It'll be quite early, so let's just get straight into it. So North Melbourne kick us off with the first pick of night 2, pick 24. And I've got them taking Latrell Sumner-Pickett, so a mature age small forward pick who's bolted up the order with his athleticism and his big performances for Glenelg in the Sandful. I think North Melbourne have a big need for a small forward. Like, they've got a few who have played a role, but one who has that kind of star factor to kick goals on the regular. I think Pickett has that potential, and I think North Melbourne, after Ludovic and Schubert were both taken earlier, and also Threadgold, they've pretty much lost all their key targets here. So I think, small forward is probably the next need down the line, and I think Sumner-Pickett gives them a lot of X factor, gives them excitement, which is something that the team has lacked for a little bit now. Their small forwards haven't been able to impact games enough, and I think adding a consistent goal kicker like Pickett might be able to, help them kick a couple more goals per game and be more competitive in games. Then with the next pick, I've got them bidding on Collingwood's Zach McCarthy. So obviously I mentioned there's a bit of a scarcity of key position players at this range at the moment. So I think McCarthy is probably the next best option for them, but obviously Collingwood have access to him. Forward ruck, 200 centimeters, really good overhead, has a lot of talent as well, but has kind of been inhibited by a couple of injury niggles throughout the season, but started the season really strongly. It could easily have gone late in the first round. So I think Collingwood have a really good bargain here at 25. So North Melbourne follow that up with the pick of Louis Emmett. This is probably more a high upside key position player. He was in the pick 1 conversation like late last year for this draft, and he had injuries pretty much all season and he hasn't been able to prove himself. He's very athletic, very mobile for someone who's 199 centimeters. He's not going to be that kind of dominant tap ruckman because of his lack of height in comparison to those guys, but he's definitely going to be able to impact at ground level. So quite similar to Cooper Duff-Tytler, except just a bit less proven. And at pick 27, this is where Essendon's pick comes in, but I'm assuming that they want to keep a pick for Adam Swade. So Swade, I think, has slid out of this range, which opens the door for another club to trade in. And I've got St Kilda trading in here at pick 27 to take Jevon Phillipou. So I'll put the trade up on screen. So Brisbane is also involved in this because they have a few extra picks available after the animal bid went a bit later than expected. So I've got Brisbane handing over a couple of those picks to help Essendon with matching a bid for Swade that comes a bit later. And then St Kilda have expressed interest in trading in for Jevon Phillipou, but I think only if he slides this far will it happen. And I've tried to be as unbiased as possible, but I genuinely think it's a chance that Phillipou slides into the second round. Just because, as I mentioned in part 1, there's so many bolsters, Red Gold, Farrow, Nan, they're all bolsters in the first round, which just pushes Phillipou out. So I've got St Kilda pouncing at this opportunity early in the second round. So Essendon, they actually have the next pick. So pick 28, they bid on Sydney's Lachlan Carmichael. So Carmichael, I think, probably will be the second Sydney Academy player to be bid on. I think, there's just a bit of talk about him being the second one. So early in the second round, I think 20 to 30 would be his range. Good ball user off half-back. I think Essendon would benefit from a player like him, but obviously Sydney have the rights to him. So they match the bid at 28. Then at pick 29, Essendon take another slider, which is Noah Hibbins-Hargraves. So I think his draft range starts at about the 20-ish, maybe pick 18. But again, with the other bolters, I've just got him sliding out to this point, and Essendon, I think, would not pass up the opportunity to draft a player like Hibbins-Hargraves, who has the talent to, break games open. He's a clutch player, kicks goals in critical moments. And yeah, he's got X Factor as well. So he's probably more of a complete outside player. Maybe could play through inside midfield in the future, but for Essendon, like, I think they lack wingers, they lack speed through the midfield, and they don't really have that forward half goal kicker. Like, they have Kako, who I think is more of like a pressure creative type of player who, but he doesn't really have the ability to kick big bags of goals yet. But I think Hibbins-Hargraves has a bit more of a capacity to do that, arguably. So at 29, I've got them taking him. Then at pick 30, the Bulldogs are on the board, and I've got them taking another high upside pick, Marcus Krasnodemskis. So a couple of links between Bulldogs and Krasnodemskis, but I think it makes a lot of sense because they don't really have any really ruckman coming through. Like, they've got English, they've got Lachlan Smith, who they drafted I think a couple years ago, who's I think more of a mature backup rather than a development project. But Krasnodemskis is a ruckman who has the upside to become one of the best in the league. Like, he's so athletic, quite similar to Emmett and CDT, but he's more of like an athlete than a proven AFL football player. So yeah, I think if the Dogs would have something to work with here. They've obviously got English locking down the ruck mantle for the medium term, so there's no pressure for Krasnodemskis to come on quickly, but I think just in the background he could be a development project for the Dogs. Pick 31, the Eagles are on the board, but I've got them bidding first on Carlton's Jack Eisen, so this argument might be a bit late for Eisen. Like, I think he could easily go early second round, even maybe late first round. But yeah, I've got him falling to this point for now. Pick 31, I think Carlton, I think Eisen's just a really good player. I've said this before, I've glazed him in previous videos, but really good ball user, 190 centimeters, so perfect height for the modern day midfielder. He's probably more kind of a half forward at the moment than an inside mid, which is probably why he slides to this point, but definitely midfield craft can be developed, and he's already a pretty good size, so puts on a bit of muscle, easily could be a long-term midfielder for them. I think he slots in as kind of an Elijah Hollands replacement for now, so Hollands played a bit more as that kind of high half-forward stoppage mid who pretty much just played in the forward half and was creative with ball use. Eisen, I think, does the same, so yeah, I think really good pick for the Blues at 31. And the Eagles then follow that up with a bid on Essendon's Adam Swade. So this is why I made that trade. I think Swade could slide out to this point. Like, again with the Bolters, like, there's just going to be players sliding out from the late first round. And Essendon, I don't think, would be locked into taking Swade anyways because they have 5 list spots and 5 picks, 5 early picks as well. So I think, like, if Swade goes too early and there's other talent on the board, like Mitch Marsh, for example, who I picked for them late in the first round, then I don't think they'd be inclined to match a bid on Swade. So this is probably towards the back end of his range. He'd be unlucky to be taken this late, but I think it's just a possibility because of the other talent available and needs of other lists. So yeah, I've got them bidding on him here. This was enabled because of that Jevon Phillipou trade where St Kilda traded in. Essendon traded out their second round pick for a future second and also some capital from Brisbane to match this bid. So yeah, they get this done, and West Coast follow this up with another bid on Bo Adensol, and this time Gold Coast pass up on the bid. So this is something that has been rumoured as well. Gold Coast's potential hesitance to match a bid on Adensol just because I think maybe his draft range is a bit higher than they actually rate him, and they've pretty much locked in Kobe Colson, who is a similar type of midfielder. So I just don't think they need that many types of or that many of those types of midfielders. So Adensol's a smaller midfielder but huge accumulator, and I think the Eagles could deal with a player like that. They don't really have a strong accumulating mid. Like, they've got a lot of damaging ones in Harley Reid, Elijah Hewitt, and then they've got that big body in Clay Hall. They've got Dersma coming in as the more impact per possession player as well, but not really someone who just wins the ball, and that's what Adensol does. So at pick 33, I've got the Eagles taking him. And then at pick 34, the Giants are on the board, and I've got them bidding on Sydney's Max King. So I think this is a typical Giants play, like crosstown rivals, but also just because Max King is a high upside pick as well, and he would be able to succeed Jake Stringer, who is probably towards the back end of his career. So to have Max King at the Giants would be exceptional, but I think the Swans would be happy to match a bid here for him. He has all the tools to become a really strong athlete. They lost Will Hayward, so I think that leaves a spot open for him to come into. He has the opportunity to stake a claim for round one. But I think like he was coming into this season as kind of a top 10 lock, but just didn't perform throughout the season. But his athletic attributes are all still there. Took a massive hanger throughout the season, and that just really epitomised his excitement levels. So 34, I think, Sydney come in and match the bid for King. And then at 35, the Gold Coast Suns match a bid for Jai Murray. So another one of those athletic high upside picks. Is seen, I think, more as a future inside mid. Is a winger for now. And I think he'd suit GWS so well. But yeah, Suns have the rights to him. So they match the bid. And then at 36, the Giants take Sam Allen. So another one of these high upside picks. Ultra athletic Sam Allen. Like, he's super fast, insane vertical, and he's really good overhead, even though I think he's only like barely 6 foot. So he's like 182 centimeters. So I think the Giants would take a punt on him. They have a bit of a need for outside midfielders, wingers. So Sam Allen also provides that toughness, and he's a really good leader as well. So had most of the season out with injury, and I think the Giants would be happy to take a punt on him with this pick. Then at pick 37, the D's are on the board, and I've got them taking Leon Kickett. So I really wanted to take Latrell Pickett here, but he went way earlier. So the next best small forward option for the Demons is Kickett. He is exciting X Factor, really good goal kicker, so quite a similar type of player to Pickett in terms of X Factor, excitement levels up forward, and then picking based on potential. So the upside to become a really strong player in the future. There's Shai Bolton similarities here, like that really slippery athleticism, and then the ability to finish as well. So I think the Demons, they just need a small forward. Like, they've lost Spargo. They just didn't have a good small forward line anyways, and they lost just a bit of depth over the trade period. I think the early drafting, they took Cam Nan and Xavier Taylor. So, but yeah, Kickett as kind of an exciting small pressure forward, I think would slot straight in and provide a real spark up there. At pick 38, I've got the Tigers on the board, and I've got them taking Tyler Williams. So Eagles NGA, they actually haven't matched here because their next pick is, I think, 41, which is really close by. So I think, 40 before a bid comes in. So I think they'd be willing to take an open player from that. And then, they already took Doveston in the first round. So I don't think there's much of a need to take Tyler Williams. Gives them that high half forward who has the speed to get around the ground and really provide that link between the forward line and defense as well. Pick 39, the Cats are on the board. I've got them bidding on Gold Coast's Kobe Coulson. So the Gold Coast Suns match this bid. I think, he's probably just the preferred option over Adam Sol. Comes a bit cheaper as well because at this point, 39, all you need is just a list spot to match the bid. So, they take Coulson, and then at pick 40, the Cats take Hugo Mukunda. So, local boy, Geelong Falcons, but he's also just, I think, a really good fit for them. He's, like, when you think about Geelong, what they need is more midfield options, and then probably, like, just as a contending team, you want game winners. And I think Mukunda has that ability to provide that damage in the forward half. He's a really good ball user, has X Factor, and he's quite strong for his size. I think he's only like 5'11", but he'd allow Myers to stay in the forward line as that roaming high half forward rather than having to force him into the midfield at times, which we saw a bit of Myers playing centre bounces this year, which I don't think suits him that much. So Mukunda would be able to fill that role. But obviously it might be a bit of a more long-term project. Then at pick 41, the Eagles are back on the board. So this is the pick they elect to keep instead of matching a bid for Tyler Williams. And I got them taking Matthew Leray. So he came into the season as a first-round contender. He's probably slid a little bit just because of maybe a bit of lack of athleticism, and then also just probably not enough inside mid exposure at champs level. But he did show that he is a very strong winger. I think he's 189 centimeters, really good overhead, and a really nice ball user. So he gives the Eagles a big-bodied, modern prototype winger, and I think that's something they do need, like an outside runner who can run two ways and also just provide that outlet and link between defense and forward line. They don't have that big-bodied winger yet, so he's also got the scope to move inside mid eventually. But I think even if he doesn't have the capacity to do that, he becomes a strong winger for them in the long term. So now we're into round 3, and Brisbane kick us off here, and I've got them bidding on St Kilda's Kai Fincher at pick 42. Fincher, there's been kind of reports of him having interests in the late 20s, but I'm not buying that. I don't think he's that good, and I'm a St Kilda fan. I've watched him really closely. I just don't rate him that highly. I'm not saying that to be biased, but like I've got Noah Hibbins-Hargraves going at 29, and I think he's a clear level above Kai Fincher. So, I've got him signing out to this point at 42. Like, I just don't see a standout attribute in him. Like, I think he obviously was best on ground in that VFL game, but like he accumulated the ball quite well. But I don't think his accumulation stacks up at AFL level. I think he's got a lot of work to do with his midfield craft, and his kicking isn't exactly elite. He's got a really nice vertical, which I'll give him that. But he doesn't have breakneck speed like Oscar Taylor does. He doesn't have the elite kicking of Josh Lindsay. And then he also doesn't have the, I guess, X factor of a Noah Hibbins-Hargraves, or the upside of a Jevon Philippo, who has all those decathlete attributes. So he's a really good, solid player, but I just don't think there's a lot of upside with him as a player. But he could just fill a role at AFL level, and that's why he does get drafted, because he's just good at a lot of things. And obviously that vertical leap, albeit not a very important attribute, but it does give him a little bit of point of difference. So then Brisbane followed that pick up with a pick on Rory Wright at pick 43. So halfback who moved in, midfielder who moved to halfback later in the season. Really damaging ball user. And I think he, as opposed to Finch, like they're quite similar players in terms of role, halfback, mids. But Wright probably has the better kicking and the better toughness. Fincher probably has the more proven VFL qualities, and then also that vertical leap. But yeah, Wright, 6 foot, so not really the tallest, but he's very tough, and he's good overhead for a player of his size, but he reads the play really well, and then he also sets up the play really well. So off halfback, you've got Fletcher and Zorko as halfbackers for the Lions at the moment. Obviously really nice players, but I think Fletcher probably has midfield aspirations, and then Zorko obviously is getting towards the end of his career. So I think Wright probably doesn't make it into their 23 just because of how strong Brisbane are, but he does give them a bit of depth, like as a versatile player who also addresses a bit of a need for them. Pick 44, North Melbourne on the board, and I've got them taking Liam Heatherton. So bit of a slider, but like he started the season as probably the second best key forward behind Ludovic and ahead of Schubert, but then he got injured. But he did start the season playing 3 Coast Talent League games and kicked 11 goals between them, so clearly has the goal kicking side of things down pat, and 198 centimeters, really good overhead. He's quite athletic as well. Field kicking is probably a bit of a weakness, but he's pretty good set shot. So I think he gives North Melbourne another forward target. Him and Emmett, I think, are really strong reinforcements to their tall stocks from this draft. Adelaide are up next, and I've got them first bidding on Fremantle's Toby Wan. So a midfielder that I think Adelaide could benefit from. He has power, he has speed out of the stoppage, but Fremantle have the rights to him, so they match the bid at pick 45. Then the Crows at pick 46 take Riley Onley. So very polarizing player in this draft. He's 195 centimeters, and and he's quite fast. Like I didn't realize that he recorded a sub 3 second time 20-meter sprint. But I think the doubt over him is still that two-way running, so the ability to get back into defense, which is quite similar to the Warriors, similar to Oliver Greaves, which is defensive running. But Onley is also a very damaging player with his ball use, like wins out of stoppage, makes the right decisions, and usually executes quite well. So he, if developed properly, will be a very unique, high-quality AFL mid. But it's just whether he can actually reach that ceiling is the question. And I think Adelaide would be willing to take the punt on him with a pick in the 40s. Pick 47, Port Adelaide are on the board for the first time. And I haven't taken any players for them in the past few drafts, but I think there's a player here that they would probably take, and that's Blake Odeshambenya, forward half mid, who is really talented. Like, he played the whole season with a shoulder injury and still performed really strongly. I think he could be a first round bolter. Like, I've got him at pick 47 at the moment because I just don't know where he might go earlier, but I think he has the talent to match it with those higher up players. But he's got really nice ball use. I think that's his standout attribute, the ability to use the ball. And he's not the fastest, but he does have breakaway speed, so he's pretty well built. Any club that has the opportunity to draft this guy in the 40s range, or even late in the 30s, I think, yeah, he's extremely good value. Pick 48, Collingwood on the board, and they start to address their midfield problems now. So Fred Rodriguez is the first player they take with their picks. So started the season as a top 10 contender as well, but he slid out just because I don't think he has a standout attribute again. But he's a very good leader. He's a very good ball user. He's decent speed, burst out of stoppage. He also just played for a really bad side in the champs, so he didn't really get the chance to show off his full set of skills. Like, if you played for South Australia, I'm pretty sure he would have averaged like 5+ more disposals per game, but they just didn't get the ball WA. So I think he suffered because of that. He'd be able to add another layer to Collingwood's midfield. He's probably one of the more ready-made midfielders just because of his physical size already. He can probably also just play a bit of half forward as well, with his dual-footedness, ability to deliver the ball inside 50, the same way Elijah Hollins did for Carlton. Like, he's not the fastest, but he's really good ball user. Pick 49, I've got a couple teams starting to pass now, so if I miss any of the picks, it's because they passed. So Collingwood are back on the board now, 49, and I've got them taking Jack Dalton. So another midfielder. He can probably start a bit on the wing as well. He's the best runner in this draft pool. He came first in the 2km time trial. I think in preseason he also came first in the 2km time trial as well, at least top 5 in the preseason testing. So very strong runner all round, but he's also just a high accumulator in the midfield, in the mold of kind of Lachie Neale, in that he's not the tallest, but he wins the ball. He's got good midfield craft. It would obviously take a lot of development and I guess a lot more performances to get to a Lachie Neale level, but just that similar type of player. That's, I guess Tom Mitchell is also a comparison, like smaller, not the best ball user, but just dominates at the clearance. Brisbane back on the clock now with pick 50, and I've got them taking a key defender in Elliot Duffield, 193cm intercept key defender for South Australia. He was quite well performed, pretty much played all of the champs, and he's a really good reader of the play, intercepts really well. He's got a lot of upside, I think. He's a good ball user out of defence. And I guess the one list hole in the Brisbane list is that kind of key defensive depth. They've obviously got Jack Payne and Harris Andrews, Ryan Lester as 3 mainstays. Lester obviously will be getting towards the end of his career. I think they have a couple of other options who can come in. But they also did lose Brandon Starcevich as well, who's a bit of a different type of defender to those guys. But I think Duffield is a player who, he suits the modern game really well. Like, he reads the play well. He's able to have a balance between attack and defense, because he can also defend one-on-one as well, which is a really good trait to have alongside the ability to rebound. So I've got him to go into Brisbane at pick 50. Pick 51, Collingwood back on the board. So they have a few picks in very close proximity, but Max Kondogiannis is the player they take here. So a player who I think might be seen as a successor to Jeremy Howe in the long term. 190 centimeter, kind of third, fourth tall. He can defend. He can use the ball. If you think Xavier Taylor, this is probably a cheap version of him, if you will. But yeah, he's got those similar attributes in that he's not the tallest key defender, but he uses the ball quite well. Isn't afraid to attack offense from defense. And I think it suits the Collingwood style really well in that run and gun out of defense style. So yeah, I think Kondo Giannis at pick 51 is good value for the Pies. Up next are St Kilda. So this is their first live pick for the draft, and I've got them taking Avery Thomas, who is a lot more of a lockdown small defender, 186 centimeters. So I think, yeah, this is just a Jimmy Webster replacement for all the Saints fans out there. If you think back to Jimmy's role, it was just locked down on the best opposition, small forward. Provide a bit of rebound. Like, Jimmy was a pretty good ball user off his left boot, and Avery Thomas is in a very similar mold. He's also Tasmanian, so it's very similar to Webster's profile. He's a couple centimeters shorter, but obviously could grow a little bit more as well. But he's just a really strong body. I think he could come in quite early in his career and make an impact because he's already quite well built for an 18-year-old. So good ball user, can attack, so you can use him off the half-back line if you want to, but we obviously have Hasty and maybe Fincher coming through as well, so yeah, I think he'd be more pigeonholed into the Webster role, but you know, he's got versatility in that back line. He can intercept, kick, he can defend, so I think this is a good pick to replace, you know, the listings of Showermaker, retirement of Webster, and the listing of McLennan as well. So we've just lost a bit of depth from that defensive part of the ground. So yeah, Thomas I think would be a great pick here. Pick 53, Melbourne take Harry Scott. So this is a mature aged player from the Richmond VFL. I probably should have taken a few more mature aged players throughout the draft, but I just don't know how to rate them because I don't watch that much VFL. I only watch Sandringham, which is the most depressing thing of all time. But Melbourne, I think they have a need for midfielders. Like, they lost Petrarca and Oliver. They obviously will have hopes that, you know, Steele can step in, which I'm sure he can. He probably replaces that Oliver role. But Harry Scott is another 190 centimeter midfielder who showed in the VFL that he's got that class with the kicking, and he's a decent speed as well. So I think he's also, I think, pretty young, like 21 years old if I'm not mistaken. So he will come in, make an immediate impact for the Demons if they take him through the engine room. So if he's not best 23, then he's just depth, and it's good depth as well. Puts less pressure on the likes of Windsor to come into the midfield and make an instant impression. Also Harvey Langford as well. We don't want to put too much pressure on the young kids. So yeah, having a guy who is from the VFL and ready to go, I think would be quite beneficial for the Ds. Pick 54, the Lions directly take their academy player Tyron Prindable. So I think he could be bid on a bit earlier than this point, but yeah, I've just got him going straight to the Lions here. So good front half ball user. Started AFL pretty late. I think he only just started in the academy this year or early this year. So yeah, I think he will be taken by the Lions in the National Draft. And at pick 55, the last pick of this draft is the Bulldogs. And I've got them taking Taylor Byrne, who was a player who has slid a little bit. I think mainly because of the rises of Leon Kickett and Sumner Pickett. They go earlier, and obviously someone has to slide, and that's Taylor Byrne in this case. But he's a really aggressive small forward. Like, he's 174 centimeters or something. But he's a really good goal kicker. I think he had a 5-goal haul in the champs. Just like really aggressive, and you can rely on him to pressure the opposition and potentially make an impact through the midfield as well. Like, he's got a bit of Nick Watson about him without the magic, but like that defensive side of Nick Watson is quite comparable to Byrne, I think. So yeah, at pick 55, I think this is a worthy punt, just because I think the Dogs have a bit of a issue with their small forward stocks as well. So obviously Waitman's injury wasn't ideal, but just to add another player who can act as a backup, I think, yeah, Byrne would be quite beneficial. That'll do it for part 2 of the mock draft, and that'll probably do it for all of the mock draft stuff for the year. The draft is obviously less than a week away, so there's not much point in me doing another mock draft in the coming days when, you know, you've got Cal Toomey's mock draft coming out, I think day before, so like on the 18th. So by the time this is released, it'll be in like 5 days. So the next video will probably be a preview of St Kilda's draft haul. So Saints fans, stay in tune. I'll definitely have a video coming out in the next few days about that. But for the rest of you, thank you guys for tuning in, supporting the channel over the past few months. Hope to see you guys back very soon. I should be releasing some other videos over the next couple of months on post draft, so stay tuned for that. If not, maybe the mock drafts next year. So thank you guys so much. Leave a comment, leave a like, make sure to subscribe to the channel for future content to come, and I'll see you guys in the next video.